Good morning, all my fellow maggots. I'm back. After nearly a month off, I've been playing tour guide for family that's been visiting in Hawaii. In fact, they just got on the plane this morning an hour ago, so their plane should be in the air right now, heading back to the lower 48. Now, the reason I'm calling you all maggots is because I've recently found out, well, the Democrats and leftists in general, that is now what they like to call Trump supporters. We're maggots. Now, it's not the first time I've been called a maggot. If you've done military time, I cannot imagine a drill instructor not using the term maggot. I was called a maggot in basic training. I was even called a maggot past basic training. I might have even used that term myself to address some troops that needed some straightening out. So, go ahead, call me a maggot. Let's get on to the story though. This from The Guardian. Here's the headline. Such a moron! Pelosi heaps disdain on McCarthy for criticizing mask guidance. Let's take a look at the first couple of paragraphs. The House Speaker Nancy Pelosi on Wednesday, that's today, heaped disdain on the Republican minority leader's criticism of Congress's new mask requirement, a reversal of policy that reflected growing number of cases and fears about the highly transmittable Wuhan flu Delta variant at the Capitol. Let's go on for one more paragraph. He's such a moron, Pelosi said of the House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, after he tweeted that the mandatory mask policy was not based on science, but a political decision by Democrats. Now, before we go to Kevin McCarthy's Twitter account, let's take a look at this video clip from Yahoo News.
Leader McCarthy says it's against the science.
Now, as you saw, good old Nasty Nancy was gesticulating with her mask, pointing it at the reporters, but she wasn't wearing it. It doesn't look like there was social distancing going on, does it? And after she finishes making that brief statement, you can see as she enters the car, her aide has a mask on, but not the driver. And Nasty Nancy was making no attempt to put her mask on as she was going to enter that enclosed space. So she obviously feels that, well, I've been vaccinated. I don't need to wear a mask. So what she's saying here is more like, rules for thee, but not for me. Now, let's take a look at Kevin McCarthy's Twitter statement. Before we get on to the offensive Twitter statement, let's take a look at the one right before it. It also talks about vaccines. Vaccines work, and vaccinated Americans should not have to wear masks. Why? I would think Nasty Nancy approves of that statement herself. After all, she wasn't wearing a mask and she's vaccinated. By forcing vaccinated Americans to return to masks, the Biden administration is not only casting doubt on a safe and effective vaccine, but contradicting why vaccines exist. Bravo, and well said, something I've said myself. If vaccines work, you don't need to wear a mask afterwards. Now, let's get on to that offensive tweet. Make no mistake, the threat of bringing masks back is not a decision based on science, but a decision conjured up by liberal government officials who want to continue to live in a perpetual pandemic state. Well, I've got to take issue with that statement, Mr. McCarthy. Too much political speak there. Now, I agree with the first part, but let's change everything after science. But a decision conjured up by liberal Democrats who want us to live in a perpetual state of fear. There, I fixed it for you, Kevin, and I'm not even an official writer for you. Maybe though, old Kevin, he wants to be re-elected, and he has to use his political speak. Now, I couldn't even get elected as dog catcher in my neighborhood, and everybody knows I love dogs. Well, especially with a little bit of barbecue sauce. Aloha, everybody. I'm back.